Have you ever heard of Freakonomics? If not, it's how everything in our popular culture melds with economics. From diverse subjects such as cheating in sumo wrestlers to crime rates and how their decline correlates with legal abortion. The Freakonomics book, and now a podcast, is such a sensation which grabs millions of listeners. And we're happy to welcome Freakonomics writer and host Stephen Dubner to MetroFocus. Stephen, welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you so much.
Tell us a little bit about the origin story, actually, of Freakonomics, because that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so I'm a writer by training. I always liked economics somewhat in that you kind of sense that it's important, but I also hated it because most of the economics that's very public is not very useful to us. It's big macroeconomic theory, which, by the way, usually turns out to be wrong in retrospect, right? So, but then there was this movement where psychology got involved and turned into what's now called behavioral economics. And this I love because it uses the tools of economics to look at people with, it couples the tools of economics with an understanding of how real people actually behave, the incentives that they actually respond to. And then I wrote a piece about this economist at the University of Chicago named Steve Levitt, who had written a bunch of just totally wacko papers. They were published in the top economics journals. He'd won awards, but they were about like collusion among sumo wrestlers and whether the first name you give your kid affects the kid's outcome in life. It was about real estate agents and whether they actually optimize their work for you. And so I partnered with him and we wrote Freakonomics, our first book, about 12 years ago, then another couple. Then I started the Freakonomics radio podcast as an offshoot of that 5 or 6 years ago.
Well, I think that's what really draws everybody in. It's drawing those like completely unexpected and seemingly random connections between two different things is like a cause and effect in the most weird places. Are there any particular threads that you remember the most as some of your favorites that you found them to be the most shocking or interesting?
I prefer the ones that are less depressing, but the most depressing ones tend to be maybe the most memorable. So, you know, you mentioned strange connections. So we had a chapter in our first book called something like, Why Do Drug Dealers Still Live with Their Moms? And we talked about the fact that drug dealing, which seems to be this kind of lucrative, you know, gung-ho trade, as evidenced by pop culture at least, it turns out that if you look at the economics of it, which we did, we worked with a scholar who'd gotten hold of several years worth of records of a crack-selling gang in Chicago at kind of the height of the crack boom epidemic. And so we were able to analyze that and, again, describe parts of the world that really we hadn't been able to explore before. Some of the depressing ones I mentioned, you know, for instance, I remember in our second book, Super Freakonomics, we wrote about, I guess we were writing about medicine generally, and the fact that as much as we'd like to think that it's very evidence-based, it's often not. There's a lot of kind of guesswork and experimentation in medicine. And so I remember looking at the success rates of different kinds of chemotherapy, especially for solid organ cancers, and they are dreadfully low to the point, plus with all kinds of side effects, to the point where you get to thinking like, you know, 20 years from now, pray God, we'll look back on this era and say, we were doing what to our cancer patients, really?
Oh my God.
With such, and part of that was statistical manipulation. You know, if someone's gonna die in 4 months and you can extend their life 2 months, well, on paper, that's a 50% life expectancy extension. And when you're in the family or when you're the sufferer and the poor doctor has to sit and tell you your situation, but there's this, you know. So a lot of what we try to do is use data, numbers, paired with common sense and just try to help the world work a little better. Simple as that.
You had a very popular podcast recently about the worst thing you can do with your money. And it seems like so many people, particularly millennials, are constantly just like, it's impossible for me to do anything bad. I have no money. So, first of all, what was the worst thing that you determined?
I mean, if you have no money, then forget about saving, forget about investing, right? So that's a different problem.
Yeah.
So we could talk about that problem too. What do you do if you have no money? Well, you know.
Yeah, that seems like that's a big problem.
Well, then you can take it even further back and why, you know, a lot of millennials, a lot of the kind of high-end millennials who are really uptight about this, their biggest problem by far is huge college debt. So if you want to address that, you kind of have to take a step back before that and say, wait a minute, when I make the decision that I'm going to go to X or Y college and take on $20,000 to $40,000 to $80,000 worth of debt, that's when you kind of need to make a decision. So I think one very basic economic concept that most people don't think about much is opportunity cost, which is to say, if I spend $1 or an hour or a brain cell on this, that means I can't spend it on that. You have to take a step back to there. If you're lucky enough to get to the point where you're earning and making some money, what we call the stupidest thing you can do is invest in a way where you're paying some significant management fees. Management fees can get you two ways. If you have a brokerage or a financial advisor, whatever, who's taking a certain cut off the top, but then also many mutual funds take a cut off the top. Their operating expenses, their expense ratio, it's sometimes called. So you can be paying 2 or 3% off the top, but that's against, that you pay that whether your investments gain or lose in a given year.
Oh.
So, and additionally, you may be paying more. The data show that you often pay more for funds that do less well than, let's say, a monkey with a dartboard. So how do you replicate a monkey with a dartboard? You buy index funds, low-cost index mutual funds. I'm not saying anything that anybody who doesn't know a little bit about personal finance doesn't know, but remarkably, in part because there's so much money put into promoting expensive investments, it's very hard for many people to pull the trigger, although I will say the movement is going in that direction. Money is a strange thing. So I would argue that money, if you think about it, is one of the best inventions in civilization. If you think about what it facilitates, money is great. It's fungible, it stores value over time, it's all this great stuff. But like very few other things in life, I would argue maybe religion, maybe sex, maybe politics, the way people emotionally respond and make choices around money is often what I would call irrational and borderline cuckoo. And therefore, it really helps to try to turn off those emotions, think about it, figure stuff out, and then, make a move.
It's like you just looked into my financial life, the irrational and the cuckoo. All right, anyway, listen, thank you so much for walking us through Freakonomics. And again, it's just such a beloved podcast. I think it's just so great that you're able to make us care about some of these issues that, again, seemingly you wouldn't have even thought about.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. And join us again tomorrow night when Stephen will discuss his new show, Tell Me Something I Don't Know, at Joe's Pub right here in New York.